Good morning. Hey, it's Kirk Duncan, and welcome to my empath training here this morning. Just pushing all the buttons, getting everything hooked up here this morning. Good to be with you. And I'm going to ask for a little bit of some response here this morning so I know if I have plugged everything in right. So, if you will you jump in the chat? On your Zoom toolbar, there is a chat button. Will you jump in the chat and tell me if you can hear me? Yes? I didn't do a sound check with anybody else, so you get to be my event team support right now. So I'm going to be asking you questions, kind of dial in, see where I'm at. Oh, good. Okay, great. I'm seeing your response loud and clear. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And let's check on, hi, Daniel. Let's check on video. Yaha, there I am. Hey, what's up? Good morning. Good to be with you. How's my video? Yes? Is my light too bright, too dim? We good? It's always funny because when the sun comes up, it's like I got to turn it up, and then as the sun goes further up, I got to turn the light down because it doesn't look like I got like a sunburn or anything like that. So this is going to be great. I got to just tell you right now, I love talking about this topic about the empath gift. There's just so much cool stuff about it and understanding it and how it works. And really, first off, is like learning, like, am I an empath? Like, what is going on with me? And today I'm going to talk a lot about this. And then I got to tell you what I'm up to. I got to tell you what I'm up to with this topic. I think you're going to be excited what I'm going to be doing. So, okay, let's see. So right now, let's see, you guys do see my video off to the side? Yes? You see that? Let's see here. Yeah, video's up there. Yes? Okay, great. Okay, well, welcome. Today I'm doing a training on uh discovering if you're an empath and being able to find out like if you're an empath, and also how does this whole empath experience actually, how does it work? Like what's going on with this, right? But before I get into it, I want to share a little bit of my journey so you can see and find out that I did not know I had empath abilities. I didn't know that. And I'm gonna tell the story how this all happens, and then I'm gonna really open up your mind to how this works. It's like really cool. Okay, so let's just get started here. So again, welcome. You're welcome to take screenshots. You're welcome to take notes. You're welcome, whatever you do when you're learning, make sure you have a notepad next to you because there's going to be some great insight and information shared with you here that's going to help you a ton. So before we get started, I just wanted to point out a little bit of a disclaimer. Not a little bit, this is a disclaimer. I am not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist, and I'm not a counselor. I've been working on myself for over 19 years in personal development. And I just want to point out that any change or new skill requires commitment and dedication to be able to have that achievement. And also, so you know, there are people who get on webinars and they learn a bunch of information, but even though they know it and they try hard, sometimes people just don't change. And anything that is expressed here or anything that I share here does not replace what your doctor, your physician, your practitioner has taught you or are having you currently do. So nothing here I'm saying will ever replace that. Also, I've invested in trainers, mentors, coaches to teach and guide me in what I do in business and what I do individually. And then also towards the bottom here, the types of results I'm going to share with you, like I'll be sharing some things with you, are not common. So I don't in any way want to make it seem like everybody else understands this except for you. I don't want for that to come across that way, that we're all different. We're all at different paces. We're all at different speeds in how we learn and apply things. And we're all on our own journey, right? And then my last bullet point here at the bottom is anything that I suggest here is a suggestion. I'm not here to tell you what to do or make you do things. Just like any educational course, it's up to you. for you to choose what to do and what not to do. You are completely in charge of your life and what you do. I will suggest things, but it's up to you to make the decision to do it or not. Cool? All right. So I don't know if you know me. I know there's people on here who don't know me. So I've been in the last 19 years, I have been teaching people either through workshops or seminars or webinars. And I have a YouTube channel. I once in a while get on Facebook. Once every couple months I get on Instagram. I'm terrible on social media, but I don't do social media really much. I do live events and I do webinars and I do one-on-one coaching. But I've been doing this particular work, like actual work for 19 years. And I love it. I absolutely love what I do. I have found my calling. I have found my purpose. And I go to bed every night knowing I'm in the right place, doing the right thing. I'm doing my thing. I know it. This is my thing. Over the last 19 years, I've created over 42 programs. I've been teaching people all over the world. Lots of hours of experience, 18 hours of experience, lots of presentations, on TV, a whole bunch. And one thing you can definitely count on is you will never hear me curse. You will never hear me tell an off-color story to get my point across. So those are my standards when it comes to teaching. I just don't do that kind of stuff. So if your kids are in the background or you're driving down the street and they're in the car with you, wherever you're at, you don't have to worry about what I'm going to say because anybody can listen to what I say. Cool? All right, cool. So I don't know if you know this, but I grew up in Lander, Wyoming. This is Red Canyon, which is right next to where Lander is. Lander's like this little town. And but this is my backyard where I grew up. We were all over these mountains growing up as a kid, but I love Wyoming. My heart, just is like there's a piece of me that's still in Wyoming. I just absolutely love it. Growing up as a kid, we were constantly on adventures and all the different kinds of things we could do outside. I didn't do well in school. Mentally, I just checked out in school. It just didn't make sense to me growing up. It was really hard and it just wasn't my thing growing up. So I barely got out of school. So thanks to my mom, I got myself through school. This is the house I grew up in on 237 Jefferson Street in Lander, Wyoming. And lots of memories there. Lots and lots of memories. I was a normal kid, normal kid, just likes to go fishing and play and ride my bike and ride horses. I just like doing that kind of stuff. There wasn't really anything really different about me, I don't think, growing up. I was like everybody else, I was really, really shy, really, really shy. I didn't like hanging around groups of people. Just that was a lot of people. I really liked nature. But yeah, other than that, when I reflect back on my life, I don't see a lot of like empath stuff happening. I did like animals. I still do. I like animals, but I grew up liking animals. I grew up loving nature. I loved water, trees, mountains, but I didn't like read people's minds or feel people's emotions. Like that kind of stuff didn't happen to me as a kid. So anyway, I grow up and do my thing and I find a girl and I really like her. And this is like the third day after I had met Kim. This is my sweetie pie. I met her and met her in Utah and we fell in love and we got married. Don't you love that? Got to get my horse in there, right? For the wedding announcement. So we got married. And when I first got married, we moved here to Utah. I moved to Utah and I got a job. And my first job here in Utah was working in a warehouse, stacking boxes. So that's my big career move, right? Like I barely passed high school. I got like $150 and then I get married. Literally, we had nowhere to live. When we first got married, I did not have a job. We had nowhere to live. We went on our honeymoon. We came back. I finally got a job and then we started living and he's like, yay, we're married, and we got our first pet, our first little kitty. And I was just a normal guy, and I'm working in a warehouse. And then we have our first kid, little Cameron there. And we're just like any other couple, we're just trying to pay our bills and, have money to go play and just do things like that. So my whole growing up, I never had any sense or any indication that I was different than somebody else. There wasn't really anything I can think about when I ponder on that. So now I'm a dad, in the story here. I'm a dad. We have one child, then we have another child, we have another child, and along this process of having children, the stress of, making sure I have enough money to pay for everything, that was a lot of stress. Really, really lots of stress. Just like anybody else, stressing about money and paying bills and having groceries and things like that. And during that time of having kids and trying to pay bills, I stressed out so bad, I got super, super depressed. And when I got super depressed, then, those thoughts start creeping in of like, I'm just a bad dad. I'm a bad human being. I just can't do anything right. And so that depression like really slid into like even some suicidal thoughts. And they were there a lot. And I seriously was considering it because it got so stressful. It's weird to think back on that, like that's where I was and that's what I was going through. But during that time of being super depressed, my wife reached out to one of her friends and said, "Hey, we're struggling. Can you help us?" And they invited us to go to this little house meeting. It was at this house, and there's these people talking and teaching people about how to be positive and how to, live a better life. And so when I finally got there and I'm there, I just was like, this is really weird. My life is depressing and these people are trying to be happy. It was really, really, really abrasive to me to be around positive people. It was weird. I was just like, I can't stand this kind of stuff. Well, I end up getting cornered and we end up signing up for a seminar. And it was expensive. It was like $900, $898 for me and $898 for a 3-day seminar for Kim and I to go to this seminar. And what happened was we end up going to the seminar and I was hating on it the whole way there. But while I was there, my mind opened up. And like, wow, maybe there's something I don't know. And they were talking about conscious and subconscious. They were talking about changing your attitude and thinking better thoughts. And I had never heard this kind of talk before. And it finally got to me like, wow, there might be something here. And I got really interested in it. I really, really felt like there was something there. And so I went to these people's classes. They had a couple different classes. I went to their classes and I joined their group coaching program and their leadership program. And I found out how negative I was. And I really found out like I was really in a struggling place. And so it was like this huge, like starting to turn around in my life. And I was about 35, 36, 37 in that range when I'm like, wow, I got to start doing something different. And so while I was going to those classes, I had a lot of introspection, a lot of looking at myself, a lot of like really starting to find out who Kirk Duncan is. And the people I was around, they were just like, hey, there's something different about you. I was like, what does that mean? Different. I don't know. There's just something different. You see things in a different way. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm uneducated. Because I didn't do well in school. Maybe my different way is just the dumb way. That's actually what I thought. So as I'm around these people and these coaching programs that I'm a student of, they would say that I was different, but they couldn't quite put their finger on it, like what it meant for me to be different. And I just considered it was like something weird or wrong with me. And as Kim and I went to these different coaching courses and learning about ourselves, I noticed that I could like listen to people. Like, and I don't know, we all listen to people, but I would listen to people and I could understand them, but I didn't know their history. Or I didn't know stuff about them. And so I noticed something was different about me. that my listening skill was uh, like almost like deeper than the other people in the room. And I would bring up things and other people would say, wow, I didn't notice that. And I was like, you didn't? And I was like, why do I notice things that are a little bit deeper in the conversation than other people? And I was like, okay, maybe I'm wrong. Because I'm the only one that sees this. And I'm like, wow, I'm starting to feel a little weird here. Like, I don't know if I want to comment anymore because every time I comment, people look at me like, where'd you get that? And I'm like, wow, I must be totally off because others don't bring this up. So I went through a phase of like not talking or not sharing because I kept standing out in this. And I got creeped out about it. And I'm like, all right. And so I got quiet. And there was one particular day where we were in class and the facilitator turned to me and says, okay, Kirk, I want you, because it was my turn. And they said, I want you to tell me what you see in that person. I said, what do you mean see? They said, well, yeah, when you look at this person, what do you see? And I had already watched other people do the same exercise. And I was like, whoa, what do I say? Do I say what everybody else has been saying? Or do I say what I see? And so I opened my mouth and I said, well, what I see is, and I share these things that I saw in this person. And I'm thinking I'm like everybody else, and everybody else thinks the same way I do. I'm just normal. I just didn't do well in school, and I'm quiet, I'm shy, and I'm an introvert. And I share these things that I see. And the facilitator goes, wow, how did you see that? And I was like, what do you mean? Can't you see that? And they're like, well, yeah, but you added more to it. And then other people in the class were like, yeah, how did you see that? And I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what was going on. And I'm like, I don't know. Just a hunch. I guess I don't know. It's like an impression. So that was like my first early signs of like standing out. And I do not like standing out. It's like, no, don't make me stand out. Because in school, I stood out as the dumb kid in class, right? I was the fat dumb kid, and I stood out there, and it was always cringy. Anytime I stood out, because I'd be like last one picked and all this stuff, and it was just like, oh, this is really standing out. So standing out is just like cringy. So here's something good that's happening, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to stand out. So I kept it to myself. I kept it to myself. Okay, so now changing the story just a little bit. This was a really important thing that happened to me. So at work, I wasn't doing that well because I got put into a position I wasn't quite qualified for, and I was really failing. I was really failing. And so my boss comes to me and says, hey, I either can fire you or I have to promote you. And I'm like, what? And he goes, so I'm going to promote you because I like you and I don't want to fire you. The company wants me to fire you because you're not doing good in this job. So I'm going to make you a salesman. I said, I don't know how to sell. And he goes, well, it'll prolong your job longer. And if you don't figure out how to sell, then I'll fire you. But I'm going to promote you to salesperson. I'm like, I don't know how to sell. I have money issues. I'm like, what? And he's like, just figure it out. So he puts me in this sales position. And so I'm trying. Now, listen to this really carefully. What started to happen to me is my job now was to connect to people. My job was to meet people, get to know people, and connect to people, and then share the products and services that we had, and then see if the people would purchase them. And my job's on the line, right? Like my job is on the line. And so I'm going out trying to meet contractors, going to job sites to meet people and to connect with them. And I'm like terrible at it. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to go from, hey, do you want a donut and some hot chocolate to, hey, you want to buy windows from me? So bad. It was just so bad. But I'm trying. Like my job's on the line and I got to connect to people and I'm trying really hard and I'm failing bad. Like it's like I'm starting to get miserable because I'm like, oh crap, I'm gonna get fired. And so I tried like getting this project, like to sell these windows to this gigantic project, and I was messing up. And my boss called me and he's like, he just like chewed me out. Bless his soul. But back then he just chewed me out because I was losing the deal. And I was just like, I don't know what's wrong. And my boss, I mean, no, I'm not kidding. I'm holding the phone and he's like yelling at me, yelling. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never been yelled at so bad in my entire life. And he's yelling at me and he goes, Duncan, what are you missing? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. And he's like, you better figure it out. And he's screaming at me. I'm like, I don't think this is humane to do this to another human, but he's screaming at me and he's yelling, you need to figure this out. You have to figure this out. What are you missing? And I don't, I, I don't know. It's almost like it traumatized me. Like it just shook me. I hung up the phone and I'm just sitting there just shaking. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm missing. What am I missing? So I had a very high level interest to pay attention to people. I just got yelled at. I'm about ready to lose my job. I can't lose my job. I barely can pay my bills. I got to keep this job. I have no idea where I would go to get another job. I got to pay attention. So I don't know what happened that day. Like in here, I'm not quite sure. Like I don't know how it was and then where it switched. I kind of have an idea now that I've looked into the science of empaths, like what scientifically happens in our brain to our neurological system to make us more of an empath. Like what is different? What's the difference between a normal person and a person who has empath abilities? We're going to find out what the empath abilities are. But there actually is a difference between the way a normal person's mind is configured and an empath's mind is configured. There are real differences in how it's configured. So I don't know if that day of me like, I'm going to lose my job, I have got to pay attention. I don't know if that shifted or it was the beginning of the shift of paying attention. I don't know. I mean, maybe God blessed me with a gift. Or maybe there's been events in my life that have shifted the way my mind is configured, my brain is configured. Maybe it's both. Because that's what you find when you study the world of empaths is some people had something happen to them and it changed the way that their mind is configured, the way the brain is configured, like physically how it's altered inside. The mirror neurons are more attentive. And there's these other parts too that we'll talk about later if I get to that part in our time here together. But there's literally scientifically, you look and there literally is difference between normal brain and an empath brain, like altered the way that the brain is functioning. And so we can grow up with an empath gift, like we're born with it. We also can have things happen to us that shift us, like a trauma experience or something disastrous can cause us to have to shift. But then also, we can also learn how to do this. And our brain literally changes the way it's configured, which is really fascinating. So not all empaths got to the point of having this ability in the same way. Everybody's like on their own journey of how this part of their brain got configured, which is really fascinating. Really fascinating. So over the years, so wait, I'm still back in this job that I had, right? And I'm like, oh, I'm going to lose my job. So I started paying attention to people. And when I hyper focused on people, I started to see things. I started to notice things I've never noticed about people before. I've never seen that before. I've never heard that before. I started noticing there's more information coming from people than just what they're saying. I started noticing people's body language. I started noticing people's tone of voice. I started noticing when they leave information out of the sentence. Like they were going to say something and then they didn't because my job was on the line. And so now I'm paying super close attention and I'm noticing that there's a lot more information. And here's something fascinating. The more information you know about somebody, the more you know about them. And really, the common person thinks that the only information you know about me is what I've told you. That's what they think. They think, oh, well, whatever I tell you is the only thing you know about me. But there's all these other ways that information is coming from a person, and in how they talk and in how they move and how they fluctuate their voice and how they do their sentence structure. Like there's all these other parts that you can actually learn about the person, which is really fascinating. So when I'm like pressured about my job, I began hyper focusing, not because I wanted to, but because there was a threat of my job being taken. Well, as I was in that job, I just couldn't figure out the sales part. I just couldn't figure it out. And I knew this is not my thing. But because I started hyper focusing on people, I actually, with this information I was getting from people, I started like asking questions about the information I was receiving while hyper focused on them. I started knowing more about them and I started to care about what was going on with them. And so I started asking questions, not just business stuff. It was like personal stuff. And I started helping people. And I started to hear this comment. The person would say, how did you know that? And I would say, well, I'm just listening. And they're like, wow, how did you pick that up? I didn't say that. And it was really surprising that people started to say that to me. It was like, well, how did you know that? Or where did you get that information? Or how did you come to that conclusion? Or why did you pose that question to me? I started getting these responses that I was going into areas of their life that to them, nobody would ever go there or even ask questions about it or even care enough to even go there. And so as one person, the next person is like, wow, you're really good at this. I'm like, good at what? Like, what am I good at? And they're like, you listen really well. And I'm like, do I call this listening? Like, what is this? But I kept doing that same thing I was doing, which was really observing and listening and paying attention to them. I did not know what had changed about me. I just wanted my job and I wanted to keep my paycheck. I just wanted to pay my house payment and have money for groceries and go fishing, right? And so I started to find out in this job, I was like, wow, I really like helping people. I really like helping people. And I want to go out and help people. How do I do that? And so I got a crazy idea and I saw somebody else do this. I had went to this class and I saw like thousands of people in a room. I was like, I want to teach people. I don't know how to do that, but I think I'm going to do that. So I told my boss, hey, here's my 2 weeks. He goes, what are you going to do? I go, I'm going to go teach people. And he's like, what are you going to teach them? I don't know. I'm just going to help. I think I can help. And he's like, help them do what? I go, I don't know, but I talk to people and I can help people. And he's like, you're going to leave this job to go try that and see what happens. I go, yep. I don't know. I just feel like my calling, my purpose, my mission is to go listen to people and then help them with their problems. And he goes, okay, good luck with that. Hope you enjoy that. And then he helped me out the door by not letting me stay for 2 weeks and kicked me out after a week. And then I started flopping around. I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to use this to help people. And how in the world am I going to pay my house payment? Like, I have no idea how this is going to work. So that next year and 2 years was really awkward and weird and floppy when I'm like, what do I do? How do I do this? Now, I did not know it was empath. I didn't know that. I just knew I could listen to people and hear things that they didn't say. And I could pick up on stuff. And so I started putting together these classes, and then people would show up to the class and I'd help them in the class. And they're like, wow, how'd you do that? How'd you notice that? And I'm like, wow, people keep saying the same thing. And somebody said, oh, I think you're reading body language. Oh, that's what I'm doing. I think that's it. Yeah, I'm reading body language. And they're like, do you notice body language? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, who taught you? And I go, nobody. I did it to save my job a while ago. So I started picking up on nonverbal cues and that there's messages in that, but there's a lot more that I was doing, but I didn't recognize it. So I was teaching classes, and the class got bigger and it got bigger. And then a couple months later, it got a little bit bigger and it went to 50 people for a class. And then people are like, hey, teach me about body language. And so we started teaching a body language class, and then that grew bigger. And then now I got 100 people. And then a couple months later, it was, 150 and then 200. And the class just kept growing. I'm like, where's this going? Like, oh no, I got to build a business. Like, because everybody's like, what's your business and what's your website and all this stuff. I'm like, I didn't know I was going to be a business owner. I did not know that. I didn't know I'd be selling classes. I didn't know I'd be doing this. It's like, I just want to help people. I just want to listen to people. I just want to help them because I can help, because I can see and feel and hear things that I can help them solve what they're missing. But what started happening is these classes are being built and these people are coming to the class. And now I've got a live seminar I'm doing every other month with like 500, 600, 700 people. And I'm like, wow, what the? And I'm listening to them and I'm helping them and I'm teaching them. And it like literally kind of like got out of control. It's like, whoa, it just took off. And then it got to the point that along the way, it's like, I have this company. I had to have a name for the company. We have seminars. And it got to the point where I was teaching live seminars every single month. I would teach a 3-day live seminar every month. And I did that for 15 years, every single month, a 3-day live seminar. And there would be anywhere between 300 to 1,000 people in a class every single month. So what happened was I got really good at talking to people, really good at listening to people, really good at like answering people's questions and understanding the audience. Because these people, I didn't know them. They'd raise their hand, they'd stand up, and I'd have to like focus on them. And that's all I knew to do is like focus on them, block everybody else out, listen with everything I have to help them solve their problem, to help them move forward. So I was practicing whatever I had every month in a very intense way, really, really repracticing it and learning what works, what doesn't work, how to tune into this person and how to see their timeline, how to see their childhood, how to see their emotions, how to see into their subconscious, how to understand their behaviors, their patterns, to pick up on the glitches, like to pick up on all this stuff about this person in less than 3 minutes. Because when they'd raise their hand, I would have to tune in and analyze and then hear their question and answer their question. And I did not give just regular answers. I gave deep answers, subconscious answers, emotional answers, history answers, timeline answers. And they were like, how did you know? And in my brain, it's like, oh, it's because I hyper-focused in a job years ago and I was trying to save my job. And that's just, And also I'm reading your body language. And so that's what I thought it was. Until one day, sorry, this is a long story, but until one day I was in a class and this lady stands up and I answered her question. and, and the lady says, thanks for the answer, which is amazing and is spot on, but I didn't ask my question yet. I was like, whoa, what happened? And the audience is like, wait a second. There's like 400 people in the room. And some people spoke up and they said, wait a second. He just answered you. You didn't ask the question. Does that answer work? And she goes, that answered my question. And somebody yells out, he's a psychic. I am not a psychic. I'm like, no, I am Kirk. No, no. And the lady's like, how did you do that? And I said, I don't know. And then somebody yelled out from the audience, you're an empath. And I was like, what is an empath? And they're like, you don't know what you are? I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. They're like, oh, you do too. And I'm like, I don't. And they're like, this is the first time you've ever heard this term? I'm like, yeah, what is this? So the audience is teaching me what an empath is. And I'm like, I don't know if that's what I am. And they're like, yeah, that's what you are. I was like, okay. And I started looking into it. I'm like, whoa, I do that. Yep, I think that. Yep, that's how that works. And I'm starting to find out like, wow, I'm an empath. I didn't know it. I did not know it. When I started looking up, like, what is an empath and what do empaths struggle with and where do they have difficulties? I'm like, wow, this is explaining a lot because I struggle with that and I struggle with that and that overwhelms me. That depresses me. Yep, I can't do that. I can't do that, but I can do all this. And it's like, oh my goodness, I match this. All these years, this is what has been going on. Like, I've never known what to call it. People have called me a body language expert. And they're like, well, who trained you? Nobody. What books did you read? I didn't read any books. And like, you have to get trained by somebody to read body language. And I'm like, no, you don't. And so it's like this real big awakening I was having. I was like, well, I guess I'm an empath. So when I go to church, I can't say empath because it kind of weirds people out. So when I'm at church, I call it a spiritual gift, right? I'm at church setting, spiritual gift. And that's okay. It's just the language. I mean, I know what this is. It's a brain thing. It's a spiritual thing. Brain and spiritual thing working together to listen, to really, 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 really listen to what's going on with the person, like what's happening. Even if they're not talking, I can hear them. And so it's a spiritual thing and it's a brain thing. But what I call it, well, when I'm out in the world, I call it empath. When I'm at church, around church people, I call it spiritual gift. And it has lots of names to describe it. So I'm not really hung up on the name. Not really, I don't have to like have the right name for it. And if somebody goes, oh, you need to call it a spiritual gift. Okay, I'll call it that. And then somebody else says, no, you need to call yourself an empath. Okay, I'll call myself an empath. You call me whatever you want. I just know I'm so glad I've learned how to use this. It helps so much in helping people because I'm a life coach, right? I hold coaching appointments. I teach classes and I help people solve problems that they can't solve because I can see what's going on. I can feel, I can hear, I can see things pop up, open for me. I can see things and ask questions, which then open other things up. I'm glad that this has happened to me. And when I talk to God and I'm like, God, did you bless me with this? And he's like, you bet. And I said, well, how is this happening? He goes, well, I blessed you with an ability and you've now used it and it's growing. Like you're using something that I've been blessed with And my life experiences have triggered it to grow and to become at the level that it is. And now there's a spectrum, right? There's people at all different levels on the spectrum for everything. There's different levels of fishermen, there's different levels of cooks, there's different levels of yard care skill, there's different levels of everything. And so I'm at a particular level, but I'm not done learning. I'm not done practicing, but I am very interested in where you're at. That's what keeps me up at night. I'm serious. Like, it is on my mind all day, every day. Where are you on the spectrum of using your gift or your empath ability? Where are you at? Were you born with this? Have you developed it? Did you have something traumatic happen to you? Did you get your job threatened and you had to hyper focus? Or maybe you've had this ability for years, but you've like hid it. Like, you're like, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to bring it up, because every time I do, people are weirded out, and you're just like stuffing it. You opened up a bag and you just stuffed it in there and cinched it tight. Because I meet a lot of people who I can tell empaths. Oh, I can find them really fast, because the way that their energy is in their energy bubble, I can tell. I'm like, oh, you're an empath. They're like, oh, how'd you know? I'm like, because your boundaries are completely open. You're not protecting yourself. And they're like, whoa, how'd you figure that out? Because you like have nothing. You are vulnerable. So I can pick up on all the different things about empaths pretty fast. Now I still sometimes I'm not paying attention. I'm like, miss it, but I'm working at it, right? So to figure this out. But here's the thing that I'm realizing. I'm realizing that I'm not alone, and there's a bunch of us out there, and you're one of them. And this is what's been happening to me is I've been feeling a really strong impression that I need to train people who have some level of an empath or spiritual gift that matches this, that I need to train people how to use this. Because there's a big mess going on in the world. There's a lot of mess happening. And that mess is a lot of people are crashing mentally, emotionally, physically. They're separating. They're just like, weird stuff is going on, like really bad. And they don't know how to fix it. They don't know how. And because the problems on the planet are getting more complicated, we need people who have the gift of seeing below the surface, the ability to go beyond the surface and see inside the person, to be able to rise up and to help people. And I know I've met plenty of people that are empaths that are hiding it. They're scared to death to use it. They're scared to death to let people know what they know. And I'm like, okay, totally get you. I totally get you. Like, I get it. I know why you're hiding it. I've been there too. But I'm like, oh my goodness, we have got to like wake up the empaths. Got to like get them trained so that they're confident in how to use their empath gift. And not only confident, but how to protect themselves so they're not suffering from the gift. Because you can suffer from this. You can suffer from it because you have open sensories. And what happens is you could be over sensory input and you could get overwhelmed really easy. You struggle in groups, you get overwhelmed really easy. You don't protect your boundaries. You pretty much have no boundaries. You don't know how to process other people's emotions that got into your space. You don't know how to keep other people's emotions and energy out of your space. Like, there's a lot of safety issues that most empaths are not aware of. They're just not aware of. And so they're struggling with stuff that they don't have to. It's just because you don't know how to do this. It's a real thing. Being an empath is a real thing. It's a real shift of what's happened in your head, in the way in which it's designed. And now you have the ability to be able to do it, to be able to tune into people read, listen, scan, whatever you want to call it, sense people at a deep level. And that can be used to help people if you know how to use the gift, protect yourself so it doesn't hurt you or overwhelm you or bring stuff into your space that doesn't work for you. So there's all these different components, and I want to go through some of these and talk to you about these. But my main focus today is to tell you I'm thinking about you, and I'm being impressed upon by my boss, the one who's up there, who's the all-knowing. He's like, you got to help them, Kirk, because they have the gift and they're not helping people and they're struggling. So help them not struggle with the gift and then show them how to use the gift. I was like, all right. And show them how to use their gift so that other people don't see them as woo-woo. You got to help them that they can show people how practical it is, how legitimate it is. Like, they are not woo-woo people. This is a real thing that you really use that has a real change in their mind that makes them different than normal people. It's just the way that they are. It's just the way that they are, that they can sense and feel and read and understand people's lives, their emotions, their thoughts, their patterns of their life, their childhood, their timelines deeper and more clearly than that actual person. And so that they can help them change their lives, help them improve their lives, help them improve their marriages, help them improve who they are and how they function. Because as an empath, you're like a top level mechanic. You know how you can, your neighbor knows how to change the oil, but then your other neighbor has this massive mechanic shop with all these tools and computers and everything, and they can do deeper work on your vehicle. That's what you are. You're that person, but you just don't know how to use all that stuff. You're like, whoa, I can do something, but I'm suffering because I have other people's energy mixed into mine, and I feel tired and exhausted, and I eat too much, and I try to escape, and I'm depressed a lot, and I don't know why. And those are the suffering sides of not knowing how to manage your empath gift. So today is my beginning of introducing this new mission that I'm on. My mission is to reach every empath on the planet and to train them on the practical use of their legitimate gift and help them understand how to actually use it. And then increase the gift so that they know even what the next level of how to use the gift in a practical, legitimate way, so that you're never seen as woo-woo, as something that people can just brush off, but that people will respect you and that you will turn the heads of the people to go, wow, how'd you do that? And for you to be able to talk about yourself and what you do in a legitimate, practical way. So you don't sound like some woo person and then people go, oh, you're just one of those people. So you can have credibility as an empath. That's what I want. What I want for you is to understand how to practically use the practical use of it so you can speak in legitimate language and that you can have credibility in who you are and what you can do so that people trust you and that they will come to you and that you can help them and you don't suffer from it. That's what I want for you. So I don't know if you want that, but that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking for you. So that's the direction I'm going with this. All right. If you're open to that, I have another webinar next week. I'm doing another one of these types of webinars, not this exact same thing, but the next step. I'm doing another one next week on Thursday night. So here we go. I'm stepping into this because for years I've taught people how to do presentations, how to be a coach, how to do this, how to do that. I've done all these other classes, but it is definitely shown up. This is what my work is right now. And the reason is because of the depth and complexity of people's problems, they don't know how to fix them. They have no idea how to fix them. And they are completely lost in how to do it. So I'm going to teach you how. Now, not all of that how today, because there's not enough time to do that, but you're going to see different ways of how you can come to a class, which I have a live event coming up, a live event in March, specifically about empath skills. So I hope you can go. It's going to be really cool. It's on March 14th and 15th. So you might want to like block your calendar out so you can show up and go to that. It's going to be really cool. Okay, so I'm going to dive into this. So in the chat, tell me if you're in. Tell me if you're in. Are you in? Are you in on this? Is this your thing? Is it not your thing? Would this be something that would be helpful? Or is it just like, yeah, whatever? Am I going the right direction? I actually really am curious on that. So if you will, mention your comments there in the chat. Okay, now I'm like, it's catching my attention. Okay, cool. So here we go. Okay, so yeah, cute. So I thank you for your comments, by the way. Thank you. Okay, so here's the thing that we want to, when I first started building 3 key elements, that's the name of my company, the triangle, circle, square, those are symbols of a particular type of training. And the first symbol of this triangle is all about helping the person to discover their own identity. Who are they? What are they up to? What's their mission? Second part is how well can you connect to people? Your connection skill, your reach out and also receive when it comes to people, when it comes to nature, when it comes to God. And then the direction is being able to dial in and structure where you're going so that the very elements can pull together to support you. But this has been 3 key elements mission for the last 20 years, is identity, connection, and direction. And it still holds strong today that these 3 different parts are crucial and critical for our existence and our performance and who we are. Who am I? Where am I going? How do I connect to humanity? How do I connect to nature? How do I connect to God? How do I connect to my own body? And then the direction of, okay, how am I going to get there? What's my next steps? So I love that still 20 years later, the same mission that 3 key elements had from the very beginning is still holds strong today. So my hope is by brushing shoulders with you this time and next time and the next time, that we'll be able to take this piece that's inside of you and be able to plug it into everything that's going on in your life. That your empathic gift is something that you can use all the time, everywhere, all the time, everywhere, but that you better understand it. So it's not a piece that you just put out here and kind of shove in the corner, but that you actually, it's something that you can use. And that you see the benefit of it because it's like, whoa, yeah, I gotta use that. Like that would be absolutely beautiful to do that. So a couple things about empaths. Empaths are out of touch with reality. That's the myth. That's like the word on the street is like, oh, they're just, they're in the ozone layer. But the real truth is what's scary to people is that empaths go beyond the surface. That's why people talk down about empaths, is because it actually scares them. And I don't know if you've ever thought that before, but literally, if you ever hear somebody talk down or make fun of empaths, they're actually trying to like create a smoke screen that no empath ever gets close to them. Because they're afraid that somebody can see under their skin and see their soul and see what they're doing. Like they're actually scared. There are people who are like, I don't want to be around an empath. They're going to know me. Because truthfully, people hide. They hide stuff. But they think they hide, but you actually can't. But that's actually one of the reasons why they do that. So empaths are few and far between. The truth is there's more and more people finding out that they have this ability to connect and be in tune to people more and more. It is happening. It's like people are realizing, wait a minute, I think I can actually help. And what do I do with this? So that part I think is really cool, right? Another myth, empaths are just overly sensitive people. No. No, the truth is empaths are super connected to their surroundings. We're not just highly sensitive people. That's a different category. Highly sensitive people are in a different category. In fact, let me just scroll ahead and just grab that really quick. So here's the difference between an empath and a highly sensitive person. Grab a picture of this. So on the middle column, this is empaths. On the right side, the HSP is a highly sensitive person. So when you look at the trait of focus on others' emotions, empaths feel and can absorb others' emotions. But a highly sensitive person notices and cares about emotions, but they can't absorb them. And I'm even going to say too, they can't feel deeply. And then when it comes to energy, empaths sensitive to emotional and energetic vibes in people and places. So highly sensitive people are sensitive to sensory and environmental stimuli. Boundaries. Empaths struggle more with separating personal emotions from others, where highly sensitive people are more likely to distinguish personal emotions, but can still feel overwhelmed. So there is a clear difference between them. And there's more to this. This is just a little sample of the differences between them. An empath is not a highly sensitive person. Okay, the last one, often linked to intuition or a sense of universal connection. And a highly sensitive person is they have less emphasis on the spirituality, and the sensitivity is more neurological or biological. So if I showed you the rest of the list, you'd go, wow, they are completely different people. And so, no, they're not just highly sensitive people. There's actually something really going on. They actually get information. You see what I say there in the middle? Empaths are super connected to their surroundings while they are sensitive. They are sensing, reading, analyzing, interpreting all the message, emotions, and behaviors and data they can on that person. Whoa. That's awesome. That's like a superpower. I mean, it's like as long as you are managing it well. You have to manage this well or you get overwhelmed and it just other people's stuff gets in your personal space and you can literally shut down from it. But once you learn how to manage it, it's like, wow, this is an incredible gift, right? Okay, so I mentioned like, can a person like become an empath? Can they become one? They typically can't, but you can if you've had, trauma happen to you, like I said, or you're in a pressure situation and you have to hyper focus. So it can activate and adjust the way it's happening in your brain so that your system actually functions more like an empath, which is real neurological changes that happens. Okay, now some of this I'm going to kind of click through kind of quick. So babies, can they be born as an empath? Yes. It just happens. That's the way that they're neurologically designed. But again, the way that their brain is structured is different. It literally is a structure difference. It's not just a woo-woo thing. Oh, they just happen to be more in tune. It's not happen to be. It literally is a neurological difference in how their mind is structured. So yes, they can be born that way. Okay, are all humans empaths? Well, most like when I say most, unless you're a sociopath or a narcissist or a psychopath, you have empathy. So you have empathy towards others. And when that empathy moves up to a higher level, you now start to pay attention to people and you start to see more, hear more, feel more. So on the spectrum, most people have empathy. And then on the other end of the spectrum, it's like, yeah. And people who are high levels on this are called empaths. Fascinating, right? Okay. Is it rare to be an empath? It actually is. There's only about 15% of people who are functioning empaths. There's others, but they are lost and confused about how to use it. And they push it away, hide it away, and they don't know what to do with it. So the other thing about empaths is what's really strange about it. You see that in the last of that sentence. These people are experts in human psychology. It's like psychology, but you didn't take psychology. It's like the day I got asked to come in and teach at a psychology class. I was like, "You want me to teach?" And they're like, "Yeah, come in and talk to us about this, this, and this." I'm like, "Okay, I know about that." And the students were like, "Okay, where did you learn this?" And I'm like, "Watching people." And they're like, "Shut up. Are you serious?" They're like, "I got to learn it out of a book." It was cool. It was way fun to go teach that class. It was really fun. Okay, more here. Empaths attract people who are trying to solve things or people who are looking for guidance. See, what happens is when you step into your empath gift and you are managing it well, you're managing it well, you have boundaries, you clean your space out, you don't have other people's stuff in your space. And I'll explain that in just a moment. I'll show you some diagrams. But when you step into it, you actually attract people to you because they can sense you know how to find the problem. You know how to find what needs to adjust. It's like a natural attraction factor. So if you're a life coach, a counselor, a therapist, if you're a team leader, you're building a team, or you're a manager, or you're running your own business, and you're like, "Oh man, I can't attract people," you're probably avoiding your empath gift. You just kind of like put it in a box or stuffed it in a bag and you turned it off. You shut it down. That's not going to work for you. That's actually going to cause you problems by pushing it away and you not knowing how to use it like shuts it down. And so then it feels like everything you do is so hard because it's like everything's moving away from you. So it's a big deal to embrace this and to learn it and to practice it and to expand it so that that attraction factor is high. I hope that makes sense. Okay. All right. So here's something that can get kind of like really tough for an empath. It's called toxic empathy. Okay. So when you don't know how to use this and you can actually get to the point where you can actually over identify. You see what that says right there? Toxic empathy is when a person over identifies with someone else's feelings and they directly take that on as their own. You could be unconsciously, unknowingly over identifying with people. I have to be careful about this because I catch myself over identifying with somebody and now their mood is my mood. Like my whole system shifted to be exactly where that person was at. Where all I was trying to do is like to sense where they're at so that I could help them get out of it. But I over identified. And then now, boom, now I'm dealing with it too. But that's called toxic empathy, where you actually are absorbing their emotions. Not good for you, not healthy for you. And there's a really good chance you've been having this happen to you. It makes it really difficult to like work on your own emotions because it's not just your emotions inside. You got like 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 20 other people's emotions all mixed in there together. And then it's messy. If you ever feel like your emotions are really messy, it's because you probably are absorbing people's emotions and you got yourself just a big mixed up pile of emotions that are not yours. And then when you try to work on your emotion, you don't know what these others are called. It's just like there's a lot of nameless emotions inside you. And it's like, where did this come from? How come I feel this way? How come I was okay 10 minutes ago and now why am I so weirded out right now? That's an empath gift that doesn't have boundaries and now you're soaking up other people's energy. That I've been through that. I help other people through that. I just had an appointment yesterday I was helping a life coach yesterday with this very situation and coaching her on how to set up boundaries and what to do to clean that up so that she can love what she does, because she's really good at it. It's just hurting her because there's too many other people's emotions inside of her space, which is a real thing. It's a real thing. Real thing. Like, this is so real. It's real. Okay. All right. Interesting, right? Okay. So empaths can look like anybody. You don't have to have a particular shape or height or style or culture or job, or an empath could be anybody anywhere. There's not like some kind of mold that you have to like come out of and look like an empath. That's not, it could be anybody. And my years of meeting people and discovering that they're empaths, it's like you can be in any job anywhere. And it's like, oh, wow, did you know you have this ability and are you using it? They could be anybody, which is exciting because it's like it's not reserved for a particular person. It's the way that they're neurologically designed. It's fascinating, fascinating. Okay, so let's go into this. Okay, the empath. Oh, so let me stop for a second and go. Okay, so under your skin, there's thoughts and emotions. Under your skin, there's thoughts and emotions. Same with other people. Thoughts and feelings and emotions are all under the skin. That's what most people believe, is that what they feel and what they think stays under their skin. That's what everybody thinks. Hey, if I don't say it, nobody's going to know it. Hey, if I don't tell people what I feel, nobody's going to know it. Okay, that's what people think, is that thoughts and feelings are under the skin. But the truth is, thoughts and feelings come out of the skin and fill up the space around them like a bubble. And people's bubbles are not like perfectly round. It's like this movable, fluctuating space. I only draw a circle because I don't have another shape to use. But people's thoughts and feelings come out of their body. They do not stay under the skin. Now, thoughts have information in them. There's information in thoughts, and feelings have information. Like, somebody's feelings has a story attached to it. Something happened. There's a story behind that feeling. And that thought, there's a story behind that thought. So thoughts and feelings are information about this person. So thoughts and feelings don't stay under the skin. They come out of the skin and they flow from the person. They flow from the person. Now, these thoughts and feelings that are information that are outside the skin of this person, most people will call this circle a personal space. But it's it is personal, like it's your space and it's the other person's space, but you can actually tap into these thoughts. You can sense these thoughts. You can sense these feelings. Some people call that energy. Like, oh, that's their energy. I'm like, okay, you can call it energy, but it's actually information. It's not just a thought and a feeling. Every thought and a feeling has a story behind it, which is information about this person's life and the challenges and successes that they're going through. And you can call it energy. A lot of people call it energy, like, oh, I can sense your energy. It's like, okay, but it's more than energy. It's thoughts and feelings that have stories behind it, which is data about this information, struggles, and also their problems, and also their hopes and dreams and their achievements. So I like to see thoughts and feelings that I like to call that information. The information that this person is giving off, here's their story. Here's what's going on with them. Here's what really happened. Here's how they feel. Here's where these emotions come from. So yeah, I'll use the word energy, but in my own little world with Kirk Duncan, it's information. So I can tune in to this person's information, which is their thoughts and feelings that come out of their body and into their space. And this, everybody does the same thing. Their thoughts and emotions come out of their body into the space around them. And you can change the channel and tune into their channel and be able to sense where they're at. Another word is vibe. Hey, this is your vibe. You're right. The vibe inside is from your thoughts and your feelings. That's your vibe. But that vibe comes out of your body. It doesn't stay under your skin. Skin does not stop this from happening. So the thoughts and feelings come outside, and it's also called vibe. So if you call it personal space, you call it energy, vibe, whatever you want to call it, we're going to call all this together information. So when you hear me say their information or their vibe or their energy, it's all meaning the same thing of their thoughts and their feelings. And as an empath, you have the ability to interpret their energy or their vibe or the information. You're interpreting the thought that you heard or felt, or the feeling you felt or see. So you're interpreting thoughts and feelings, which have a story, which has information and data about this person, about what they're really, really going through, even though this person is going to leave out like 80 to 90% of that information. People edit what they say. They keep a lot of information out of what's really going on. And so as an empath, you can tune in and get the rest of the story. You can tune in and get the rest of the story and be able to interpret that to understand this person better. So already you can see that by having the empath ability and practicing this and learning how to use it, you could be a better mom. You could be a better dad. You could be a better partner. You could be a better business owner. You could be a better salesperson. You could be a better creator. Whatever you're doing, just be a better human. If your brain's neurologically wired to be able to have the ability that your mirror neurons are on high level, then use it to help and to guide and to console and help somebody cope, because you can interpret what's going on with them. Now that takes some practice, right? To interpret. I can teach you how to do that. But yeah, all these words all go together, but really it comes down to the person's thoughts and feelings that are coming out of them, whatever word you're going to use to name it. So if you ever hear somebody say, "Oh, I'm reading your energy," they're reading your thoughts. They're reading your emotions. If they say, "Oh, I'm sensing your vibe," it's still thoughts and feelings. And if they're like, "Oh, I can pick up on your information," it's thoughts and feelings. So whatever they use or whatever new fancy word is on the street, like what people are saying, it's still exactly the same thing. So don't think that, oh, they've learned how to find something else about a person. Nope, it's the same thing. Thoughts and feelings about today, thoughts and feelings about yesterday, thoughts and feelings about last week, thoughts and feelings about what happened 45 years ago. Our thoughts and feelings about our whole entire life all come from our body every day. I'll say it again. Thoughts and feelings from our whole entire life are radiating from our body every day. It's who we are. We are a thought and feeling. It's what comes from us every day. It's just radiating out like a ripple. Drop a rock in a pond and you see those ripples. Our information is radiating out from us every day. Clear back when we were a little kid. Clear back when we were 1 year old. Those thoughts and feelings are still coming from us. They never stop and they never will. Everything that has happened to this person is coming out of their body through their skin into this space and even beyond, constantly. Wow, right? Okay, so everybody has information. The closer you get to a person, you can actually pick up on their information. It's interesting, right? But here's the truth. Information just doesn't sit in your head. Information travels from the inside of your skin to the outside into your personal space. You can't stop this from happening. You can learn how to tune into it better, and empaths naturally tune into this information all the time. But sometimes it gets in their way and it gets in them and they don't know how to do this and it becomes overwhelming because what if the empath is like around a group of people? Ah, no, this empath is gonna like not want to go around groups of people because it's like, oh my gosh, I have no boundaries, no boundaries. And now all these people's information is getting in to their body and it just makes them almost sick because it's too much information all coming in at the same time and they can't process it because they have no boundaries. Wow. So this is why empaths need to learn how to manage this so that they can keep themselves safe and stable and sane on how this works. Okay, so common people only listen to the words people say to get information. That's what they do. But what happens to an empath is they have high sense ability. They tune into the information that's transmitted from others. So it's sense ability. And when I say there's like they can tune in, like literally, watch this. That's how many different ways, just as a rough start, like how many different ways an empath can pick up information from somebody. I could add 10 more to this. Like there's so much you can get from a person and you can help them. But okay, but wait a second. We got to look at this. We got to make sure that you're a responsible empath. Because if you're responsible, you use this information to understand, help, serve, empower, and problem solve with the person. But what if you're reckless? Could you actually be a wicked bad empath? Yeah, you could. You could. And there's some people call it a dark empath, where they're actually reckless. They use the information for unfair measure. They judge, they condemn, they manipulate, and they criticize that person. So some people use it for bad. And I don't think that's cool at all. And you could almost call that person a narcissist, but narcissists are not even empaths. But they have some of that, but now they use it against the person. So there's good and bad with people and how they use this particular gift. So it really is like tuning into a channel. It's like the good old radio. It's like, oh, what frequency is this person on? And so when you learn how to dial in on the frequency of that person and tune out the other stations, now you're listening to the person and you're listening to them from all these different levels as you learn how to do this better and better and better. And then as you listen to them, it's almost like they're transmitting, you're receiving. It's like you're like, wait a second. If I learn how to receive the message, I could help my daughter. I could help my son. I could help my spouse. I could help my friend if I was a better receiver. Because people are all transmitting. Everybody's transmitting their information all day long, every day, even when they're sleeping. It never stops. But maybe it's time to like be a better receiver, right? So a couple things to be careful of as you're learning how to receive better is you need to limit and get away from the computer multiple times a day. You need to go outside and reground yourself, put your feet in the grass or the snowbank or something, but get away from the electronics and go reground yourself to Mother Earth. That'll reset your empath. Also, if you're around electricity or machinery all day long, you need to get outside and be by trees, water, mountains, or just touch dirt, rocks, bushes, because that'll mess with you. Appliances, they'll mess with you because they're an electrical device and machinery. Loud noises dampen you and they kind of cause you to shrink. If you're around power lines or cell phone towers, Give yourself a break, go for a drive, get out, go for like a little 10-minute walk and just be around dirt, bushes, trees, water, mountains. Airports are super, super tough on empaths. After you travel, you need to go and sit with a tree. Go hold a branch, go put your feet in the ground again, but get away from the electronics just for about 10, 15 minutes after a flight to reset you. Because there's so much electronics and all kinds of stuff in the air around airports, and it just throws you off. It almost can make you sick. Machinery, that same thing, lots of noises and moving parts, mechanical stuff, again, go recharge. Vehicles, again, are like, exhaust, the motor sound, all of those kind of sounds that goes on. Any of these things, you got to go reset. But it's once you start to learn how to reset and use nature to reset, it starts to happen faster and faster. Because I got to do this. In between every coaching appointment I hold, I go outside. I have to reset because I'm sitting by my computer and my lights and my plugins and stuff. And it's like, whoa, I got to get away from this stuff and be able to go and reset. Super important, because if you're around this stuff and you're not resetting every day, at least one time, you are feeling really weird on the inside and wondering what that feeling is. It's literally like a come apart. It feels like you're coming apart on the inside. So super important, because we kind of all are around this stuff one way or another. You got to get outside today, and you need to get your feet in the dirt or on the grass or go by a tree. Like everything I just said, you hear it's nature. You got to have some nature or some animals. Like you got a dog, a cat, got your rabbits, your chickens, your cows, your horses, or your neighbor's dog or cat. If you're around pets, go be with animals. They're another great reset after you've been around. Exposure to this can really dampen how your system is working. Okay. Okay, I got to go here in just a little bit. So a couple other things I want to show you. Something that shuts down an empath, like really closes up their ability to be in tune with other people, is when you don't forgive people. So forgiveness is a topic you got to start studying and learn how to forgive. Because when you when you hold regret or resentment towards people, or you judge them or you're critical of them, you don't realize how it literally turns down your ability to be in tune. It messes with your ability to be in tune. And when you shut down your empath gift, you're going to feel a weird, miserable feeling. It's like a part of you is dying. I've talked to lots of empaths who are like, why do I feel like my life is like degrading and falling apart? And I almost feel like I'm dying. And I'm like, you have hid your gift and you're not using it. And they're like, how'd you know that? And I go, because I know what happens to people who lose their ability to be in tune with people. You feel like a part of you is dying or dead. You could actually be feeling like it's dead, like something is dead inside you. And it just feels weird and kind of creepy and disturbing and sad. Very, 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 very sad. Very sad. Anyway, you start turning it off, it'll shut down. You got to know, you got to practice forgiveness. And if you're like, I don't know how to forgive, then you get to find a book and you get to learn about forgiveness and you get to practice forgiveness every single day. Every day. You cannot miss a day and not do some step of forgiveness. I'm not kidding. And if you did do this, you're going to open up in a huge way. And you're going to be like, what? Like, I feel so alive. I feel like I'm so connected. I feel like I know what's going on. I'm not scared anymore. I'm not panicking anymore like I used to. It'll help you so much. If you'll learn and practice forgiveness, you got regret inside of you from something in the past, or resentment or guilt or shame from something. It's like, okay, start using apologies and forgiveness so that you can start to work through that. I'm not going to go into that today, but I just want to put that on the plate and make sure you put that in your notes. That's a really important thing to do. Okay, I'm going to help you really quick, just on a short introductory part about setting boundaries, because I would guess that you struggle with boundaries. At some level, you're struggling with boundaries. Now, this is the only thing I'm going to give you to do is I want you to draw on paper. Draw on paper what you see. So sometime today or this weekend, get a piece of paper and draw that. Stick figures around you with arrows coming at you, but you have a circle around you and the arrows do not go in the circle. What you need first is you need a visual of your boundary. Before you define what your boundaries are, you got to start creating the visual that you have a circle around you. You choose what color and color it in. This circle has to be colored in. You choose a color, you color the circle in, and you draw this picture with these stick figures around with these arrows coming at you. But the arrows stop at the edge of the circle. And you can make this circle as big as you want. Don't make it small. Make sure it's got good size that makes it look like you are safe. But you can draw it as big as you want, but the arrows stop on the outside because you got to turn on your visualization so that your mind imagines that you have a circle around you that does not have holes. That does not have holes. That's really important, that it does not have any holes and it has no arrows coming into it. Because right now, you could have holes punched in your space by people that have been grumpy to you, people that have been mean to you. Your literal personal space could look like Swiss cheese. It could look like that. And you don't even know it. And that's why people are able to get their energy in, is because they can get through those holes. And you don't want that to happen. So there's a real reason why I'm saying, like, you draw this circle and it has no holes in it and there's no arrows in it. Because hopefully at another time I can teach you how this works with boundaries and how to just all the aspects about how this works. So this is your assignment, to begin the visualization so you can start to imagine that you have a whole and complete circle around you. No defects, no cracks, no openings, no arrows. And you're safe. And then this picture, if I were you, I would put it on your mirror where you get ready in the morning. And then every day when you're brushing your teeth, you're looking at the picture and you're thinking, I am whole and complete and safe. I am whole and I'm complete and I'm safe. I'm whole and I'm complete and I'm safe. So that you can start to form that imagery, and so that your mind can then now establish this field of energy around you, which it will happen. Your mind creates whatever you got going on in there anyway. Might as well have it create safety and create some energetic boundary so that you don't soak up people's energy and have holes and all this other stuff that's hard to deal with. You don't need to be dealing with that, but you need to activate your visualization to create this circle that has your color, whatever the color is. I mean, you could be pink, you could be purple, you can do whatever color you want. You want green, you choose the color, but it's your whole and complete circle that helps you feel safe, secure, and still in tune. It's not a wall, it's not a door, it's not a dam, it's not a mound of dirt. All it is a circle. It does not cut you off from the world. But what it does is it does protect you from reckless people who are spewing their energy everywhere. People can be reckless and they can throw energy around and they can attach to you and they can suck your energy dry. So you got to have a whole and complete circle around you so that you can start to heal from the damage that has happened to you. But visualization is what's going to trigger that to start to happen, to create that circle. So draw it, color it, get it on the mirror. And every day you're brushing your teeth, look at it. So you can start to create that around you. Good? Okay, good. Okay, I had more to show you, but I got to go. So let me show you what I'm doing. On March 14th and 15th, I have an in-person empath workshop. March 14th and 15th. I'm just still about ready to finish up the details. I'm working on it today and then on Monday morning, and we're sending out an email on Monday morning. And so on Monday morning, this is going to go out, and there is a limit to 84 chairs. It's 84 chairs. So it's not I did not get a big venue. It's a small to me, it's a small venue. So there's a maximum of 84 chairs. So the email is going to go out on Monday. You'll get a copy of the email, and that way you can, if it's going to work for you, I hope you grab a ticket. But I just want to give you the heads up that it's coming. Check on March 14th and 15th. It's going to be here in Utah at Pleasant Grove. Already got the venue. We're ready to go. It's March 14th and 15th. It's Friday and Saturday. This particular workshop that I'm going to be doing is going to be a lot of like, how do I say it? I wrote it down. It's going to be interactive. It's going to be learn from experience, and you will understand better how your own empath gift works. So there will be interaction and practicing. And so if you don't like that kind of stuff, you probably should not come. Okay, because I will train you, and then you're going to practice, because I have a series of exercises and series of things to do, like actual things you're going to practice that will tune your mind, that will connect your mind, and help you respect and use this gift properly. So I've got some great training exercises for you to go through if you want to learn how to, through actual practice, how to improve your empath gift, no matter what level you're at. So I just wanted you to know about this. I don't have anything for you to register right now. But mark your calendar, March 14th and 15th. It's a Friday and Saturday. We'll go from 9 until 5 on both days, 9 to 5 on both days. And yes, you'll have a lunch break that you can go on. And yeah, it'll be awesome. I will be the trainer for the whole entire thing. Super excited. I have way too much content for the 2 days. I tried adding Thursday. I went back to the hotel and I said, I have to have another day. Give me Thursday. And they're like, no, somebody else already has it for Thursday. I'm like, no. I was going to add a whole nother day. So I don't know how I'm going to work around that one, but I'm really pumped about it. I have been working on this for weeks. Very excited about it. I'm really ready for it, to like be in the room and to focus specifically on you and where you're at and what's next for you. This is all for you. It's to help you like really step into this and be able to use this gift. I think it's exciting. Very excited. Okay, so I got one thing though. This is going to be totally weird. I've never done this before. Okay, I've never done this before. I can see it working well. I can see this working well, but I'm going to ask for some help. Okay, so let me explain it, and then you can act on it if it fits you. So I'm looking for 12 people. Okay, so only 12. Looking for 12 people who would be willing to bounce ideas with me about this class. So I already have a lot of content, but I've got to narrow down the content. I've got to refine it. So I need a group to talk to. So what will happen is, if you're one of the 12, what will happen is I'm going to set up a Zoom meeting, and then all 12 of you and me are going to jump on a call, and I'm going to show you my content, and you're going to tell me what you think, if I should do that slide or that piece or not. And you're going to just like help. I'm going to bounce ideas off of you. And so you're going to see the content before the class, but you're going to help me like sort it out and refine it. So I'm looking for 12 people to bounce ideas off of and also help me fine tune it. Like, so I'm going to show like, okay, then we're going to do this, and this is the reason why I'm going to do this. So you're going to be like in on the creation of the class. Like, I have it all rough draft, but I've never done this before, but I'm going to involve 12 people to go through my content with me, work through the content, take things out, put things in, tweak some things. You're going to watch me create the class. You're going to watch me delete things that are really good that I just can't do. There's just not enough time. And so if you want to be one of these 12 people, email my team at support@3kilmans.com and say, I want to be one of the 12 people. So email right now, like support@3kilmans.com, email my team and say, hey, I want to be on this group. I want to bounce ideas. I want to help fine tune content. I want to be part of this. And so, and then what will happen is I will pick a day, and then I'll send a message to these 12 and say, hey, I'm jumping on a Zoom, and will you jump on? I got to run some things by you. Because from right now, the class is in 6 weeks. So I'm going to need to bounce ideas probably at least 2 times before the class, maybe 3, but at least 2 times. We're going to jump on a Zoom call. It might be at nighttime. It might be early in the morning. It might be in the middle of the day. I don't know what your schedule's like. That's why I'm choosing 12, because in case you can't get there, well, the other people can jump on and help. Because I really want this class to be like fantastic. Because this is really important to me that I'm doing a good job for the people in the class, because this is a big deal. This is people who are hiding their gifts because they don't know how to use it. They've been abused by their gift because it just hurts them. They don't know why. They've been trying to use it and they're confused and they feel lost. And I'm helping these people figure out how to use it, how to develop it. And so I got a bunch of content, but I got to refine it, because it's like a 9-day class right now. There's no way I can do 9 days of training for that. And I want this whole class to be in person, right? Because there needs to be interaction, right? There's got to be some interaction. Because how do you improve your empath gift through a webinar? You can learn, but I got to tell you, there's certain things I want to like have happen in the class that'll just really open the people's minds and go, whoa, I just saw that happen. Or they say, wow, I just felt that. They felt it. They saw it. They're doing the training exercise, the practice, and they're like, whoa, I'm getting good at this. And they can see that they're getting good at it because it's live interaction, right? I just think it's going to be so cool. So looking for 12 people to let me bounce some ideas off of you, tell you what I'm doing, and then I'll adjust it. And then I'll come back a couple weeks later. We'll look at it again. And I might agree with you. I might disagree with you. We're just going to bounce ideas, but I want to get some other opinions about the direction I'm going. And I want to listen to your opinions. Like, what do you have? What are you thinking? Because I know you're going to bring stuff up I have not ever thought about. And I don't want to miss out on that happening in the class. Because I know these classes, it's like, I got like one shot, right? To like make an impact and really train them. And I don't want to like later go, oh, that would have been a great idea. I don't want to do that. So I've never done this before. In all 19 years of building classes, I've always done it by myself, and I've never involved others before. But this time, my boss said, you gotta talk to some people. They're going to help you see things you don't know yet. And I'm like, okay, all right. So we're going to do that. So again, if that's something you are interested in, then email my team and email support at 3Kelmans. Tell them who you are, that you're game for it. And then I'll talk to my team. We'll put together a message and send it out to you and let you know if you're one of the 12, and we'll go from there. Cool. All right. So yeah, mark your calendar though. March 14th and 15th, about 6 weeks away. It's going to be fantastic. You'll get a message in an email here in the next couple days after the weekend with all the details, and it's going to be super affordable. Grab a seat. Grab a seat, show up. Let's do this, right? I'm just so pumped about this. I'm excited about this because I know what it's done for me. I just literally yesterday, I got to say this one more time. Just yesterday, I just had this amazing coaching appointment with this woman who is just super gifted, really gifted in how she connects and understands people and the way she uses her modalities to help people. But afterwards, she was really tired. And she said that she would kind of like, wow, what do I do now? There's like a little bit of fogginess, and I almost could say kind of confusion afterwards. And what I sensed with her is I said, hey, I think what's happening is their energy is mixing with yours. And I used the word mixing. It wasn't just in like two bubbles inside of a bubble. It was like, it actually was mixing. And we talked through it. And she's like, whoa, that's exactly what's happening. And then she asked, well, what do I do? And so then we set it up of what she's going to do to help solve that problem so she doesn't have that after effect. So really was cool to talk to her and find out what was going on, to see what was happening. And then the suggestions I had for her, she was like, I'm testing this. And she said, I can already feel this is going to work. But it helped me like go to bed last night, like super tickled, because now she'll have more energy to be a mom, more energy to be a wife, more energy to live. And what I kept saying is like, wow, now you do this, it's like you're going to have your life back. You're going to feel like you're more alive. That's what I want for empaths. Wherever you're at on the spectrum of this, is to be able to know the gift you have, know that it's like, this is a real thing. And as you're using it, it's not dampening you or injuring you or hurting you in any way. Like, you got it. You know how this works. So very excited about that. Well, I promised myself I was going to only go 90 minutes. I'm a little bit over, so I'm going to run. But you also want to watch for my webinar next Thursday night. So I'm doing another webinar next Thursday night. It's going to be at 7 o'clock. I don't know what you got going on, but maybe, turn it on while you're driving or whatever you're doing, listen in, because I'm going to be going through some other content, not the same thing. There might be a couple things that are similar, but I got a whole nother section I'm going to be talking about. So you don't want to miss that. And that'll be this next Thursday. Cool. All right, there we are. I just wanted to talk to you and share that with you today and let you know what my mission is right now and what I'm working on. And very, 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 very excited. Okay, so I'm going to show that screen one more time. I know you already saw it. There's limit to AU4 seats. You'll see the email. Be sure to grab one. If you want to be one of the 12 people, email my team right now. Don't put it off. And there we go. Cool. All right. Thanks, you guys. I hope you got some insight here. My next one, you will get more. And then I'll be doing another one, but I'm going to be doing a lot of webinars between now and March 14th talking about this. So looking forward to it. Okay. Have a great day, and we'll talk again soon. All right. Love you guys. See you. Thank you. Bye.